Hello, and welcome back to another Grand Prix back-to-back weeks. There's going to be a little bit of a gap till Australia, obviously. 2 weeks off. So 2 weeks without hearing Max Verstappen has won. The gap was a little bit less today. We can't complain too much. Although you can say that was mainly contributed to the safety car. But Ferrari looked closer to Red Bull today. Everyone else was a little bit off. Leclerc was good. Did well to compete a little bit more with Perez and Verstappen than usual, but not really anywhere near, was he? The gap was still pretty high, but luckily the gap between Max and Checo wasn't as big as usual. As I said, that can also play into the fact there was a safety car, but that was quite early on in the race. From that Stroll incident, another poor performance from him, if we're being honest. Very poor performance. And I guess his DNF allowed Nico Hulkenberg to get his first point of the season. At the start of the season, I said Haas weren't going to get a single point, and he's proved me wrong pretty early. A point in the second race for Haas. Although I guess they do tend to fall off towards the end of the season more so. So I guess it's maybe to be expected if they were going to get points, it would be about now that they'd be bagging them. So fair enough to Haas. Lewis Hamilton, again, underperforming. Mercedes in general today, though. It wasn't just Hamilton. In Bahrain, it was more of a Russell did all right. Hamilton underperformed. Today, it was more of a Mercedes weren't very good. Russell still beat Hamilton, but it was overall just Mercedes problems. Not even problems, the car was just slow. McLaren looked good. Lando was on a bit of a dodgy strategy. Waited a long while to pit, had to make up positions and couldn't. On the other hand, obviously, Oscar was on a slightly better strategy and he ended up finishing ahead of Lando and is ahead of him in the championship now, which is fair enough to the rookie. Not a rookie anymore, is he? The ex-rookie, the rookie from last season. So that is interesting for him. Elsewhere, the big talking point, which I haven't mentioned yet, Ollie Behrman coming in with Carlos Sainz out with, what did he have, appendicitis, something like that. With him out, we were left with Ollie Behrman, and an absolutely fantastic performance from him. P7 on debut. He's ahead of Stroll. He's ahead of Hulkenberg. He's 2 points of a 7-time world champion? Not a bad start considering he's only done one race. Brilliant performance. Obviously his teammate finished third. There was a big gap, but we're talking about an experienced Charles Leclerc. This was an Ollie Behrman off one practice session. Jumping in, qualifying 11th and finishing 7th. Massive, mega job from him in the weekend. And yeah, he was absolutely fantastic to get those big points. Let's think elsewhere on the grid. Fernando Alonso did pretty good, to be honest. But overall, another 1-2 for Red Bull. Not ideal. I think most people thought it was going to be a 1-2 for Red Bull here, though, if we're being completely honest. So it's not a huge surprise. Anyhow, let's talk about my predictions for what I predicted for Saudi now. My biggest good surprise was Lando Norris. I'm not going to give myself that. I can't give myself that. He was not that great. Performance wasn't bad. He was actually doing really well. But the strategy did not complement it very, very well. Unfortunately, he ended up finishing, what was he, P8? Let's have a look. Lando was P5, Oscar was P4. Yeah, Lando finished P8. Quite a bit off the pace. Oh, this is actually horrendous. Oh, now I'm looking at it a bit more. Not from Lando, just the fact 4th place was 30 seconds off Verstappen. Not ideal. But yeah. Lando, P8. Decent job given the strategy, but couldn't have done much more. Stink of the day, I said Ferrari. I didn't give myself that. I was actually thinking I pulled off a miracle at one point because I was like, Sainz is out. He's not going to be here. But if anything, the big talking point's about Ferrari, and the fact they've got 3 drivers currently in the top 10 of the drivers' standings, which is unbelievable, really. So fair play, Ferrari. And definitely not stinker of the day. They got a podium and a decent performance from someone who's on their first race of the season. Not first race of the season, although it is first race of the career for Ollie Behrman. Driver of the day, Lando Norris. Again, didn't happen. I think it was a decent performance from him, but he was nowhere near driver of the day. Verstappen could have had it. Perez did okay. Leclerc could have had it. Maybe Oscar. But ultimately, they were obviously... The reality is it had to be Ollie Behrman. Fantastic performance on his debut. He deserved driver of the day. Could have never predicted that, though, if we're being honest, because I predicted it before Sainz was out. In fact, Sainz did 2 of the practice sessions before he was out, so it would have been absolutely impossible to predict that. I also said Lando Norris would get pole, so that's not ideal, because he didn't. And he was... Where did he qualify? I think he qualified 6th. I want to say 6th. I think it was 6th. I think Fernando was 4th and Oscar 5th. So he qualified 6th, finished 8th. Was not a phenomenal weekend for him, but a very decent weekend for McLaren generally. But yeah, a long way off pole. Also said he would get a podium in 3rd. Another one that didn't come off. These predictions are not going well today. But they're about to get a little bit better because I got the 2 most obvious predictions on the grid right. Perez 2nd, Verstappen 1st. Both correct. I think most people thought that was going to happen because, I mean, Saudi's a track that benefits Red Bull anyway. It's one of their very good tracks, and it's a track Perez performs well at as well, which is why you could expect it to be a Red Bull 1-2. Australia could be a different story next week, I don't know. But, yeah. Brilliant from Red Bull. Again, as you'd expect. We weren't expecting them to turn up and do nothing. They turned up and performed to the highest level like they usually do. So, fair play to Red Bull. My one crazy prediction was 0 points for Ferrari. That was a long way off happening. They brought in a rookie, and he still bagged 6 points for him, so absolutely no chance of that happening. In Bahrain, I got 3 out of 8 of those right. In Saudi Arabia, I've got 2 out of 8 right, which is getting worse. That's overall 5 out of 16. I want half by the end of this season. We are struggling at the moment. And now we've got to wait 2 weeks to begin a little bit of a comeback. So that's not ideal either, but we will get there. We will get there. Hopefully with some slightly better predictions soon. I'm not really sure. I mean, Australia is going to be an interesting one to predict, I suppose. I don't know who's going to be fast there. I don't know if any team's bringing any upgrades. I doubt it, really. It's a bit early for them. Although I could see some backfield teams have a couple of early upgrades. Surely Alpine have got to pull something out soon because they are really struggling for performance. So it will be interesting to see what they do. I'm sure they've got something up their sleeve, but we will see in that regard. But yeah, decent. As races go in 2023 and 2024, wasn't horrendous. I mean, I guess it was not horrendous because we were all looking at Ollie Behrman and thinking, what a talent. I mean, in my driver lineup prediction I did like a week ago, I was saying, this Ollie Behrman kid is fantastic. And I said he'll get that Haas seat next season. I think he's absolutely proven he deserves that now. And I said also in that video, he's the heir to Lewis Hamilton when Hamilton retires in Ferrari. It'll be Behrman and Leclerc, and I think that is... We've got a little taste of it today. It should happen in the future, I think. I really do think it will. We shall see whether that does come to fruition, but I think it will. Anyhow, yeah. That is going to wrap this video up. I'll be back in probably a week and a half, maybe, to do my Australia predictions, but there will be more content in the meantime. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.